Welcome to my YouTube channel, Midnight Horror. Here you'll experience haunting stories, hidden secrets, and eerie encounters like never before. I'm here to guide you through these dark realms where nightmares come to life. If you enjoy suspense, fear, and uncovering the darkest tales, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video from Midnight Horror. Prepare yourself, and let's dive into chilling moments at midnight together. Thank you for joining Midnight Horror. Let's explore the terrifying mysteries in each upcoming episode. I need to get this off my chest. It's the first time I'm opening up about this. I never intended to share this with anyone close to me, not because they wouldn't believe me, but because I've been trying to bury it deep down. But now, I'm left with no choice. I'm exhausted and bewildered by it all, struggling to understand why this happened. I just want closure before things take a turn for the worse. It all began during my stint at a bustling restaurant. Growing up in New York City means encountering all sorts of characters daily. I've seen it all, the good, the bad, and the bizarre. I was considered the reliable backbone of the place, shouldering more responsibilities than my peers despite the same pay. One late night, my best friend Adrian surprised me by showing up with my girlfriend in tow. He's always been like a brother, and we've been through thick and thin together. He mentioned a spontaneous house party they planned to throw that very night. "Hey," Adrian called out, interrupting my cleanup of a vomit-stained table. "We're throwing a last-minute bash tonight. Could you not have told me after my shift?" I retorted wearily. "It's happening now, man," he grinned. "My girl found this amazing spot with a pool and game room. It's going to be epic." Amidst my exhaustion, I managed to smile at my girlfriend. "Sounds fun," I muttered, mentally cursing the timing. Little did I know, that was the beginning of a downward spiral. As I polished the table, glancing at the clock, it was almost 11 p.m. The realization hit me. They wanted me to join them tonight. Tonight? That sinking feeling crept in, a premonition that this seemingly perfect plan might not be so. Looking back now, I wish I had listened to that gut feeling. But I couldn't have known what was about to unfold. "Fine. Where is it?" I asked, resigned to my fate. They directed me to take the subway across town. Irritated by this unexpected twist, I found myself wrestling with an unsettling feeling that things were about to take a dark turn. During this chaotic moment, there was a man sitting nearby, observing us silently. He looked out of place in his immaculate attire, a tuxedo with a long coat. His presence exuded an eerie calmness that sent shivers down my spine. When he spoke, his words carried an ominous weight, warning us about our destination in cryptic terms. "Have you ventured to that area before? Exercise caution," he cautioned, his eyes piercing through me. "Thanks, but we're busy," I replied, trying to dismiss his unsettling presence. His response was chilling. It was as if he saw right through me, his gaze filled with an unsettling intensity. He left us in a state of confusion and unease. Adrian and my girlfriend brushed off the encounter, but things only grew stranger after they left. My usually composed manager approached me with an unusual urgency, her face pale with concern. "Do you know him?" she asked, her voice trembling. I shook my head, feeling a knot of anxiety tightening in my chest. "You should leave now. Be safe," she urged, her words lingering in my mind. As I reflect on that night, I realize how close I came to something inexplicable and unsettling. It's a memory I've tried to bury, but one that continues to haunt me. A reminder of how fragile our sense of security can be in the face of the unknown. I froze, my heart pounding so loud I could hear it echoing in my ears. The train's flickering lights cast eerie shadows across the cabin, and there he was, a man watching me intently. How did he get on without me noticing? The hairs on my neck stood on end as I stared back at him, paralyzed by fear and confusion. "Who do we have here?" His voice was a low whisper, cutting through the silence like a knife. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. All I could do was sit there, my mind racing with thoughts of escape, but my body refusing to respond. The train felt like a cage, trapping me with this unknown figure. His laugh sent chills down my spine, a chilling sound that mocked my helplessness. The train's lights flickered again, momentarily blinding me. Through squinted eyes, I could make out his silhouette drawing closer, each step deliberate and slow. The lights buzzed back on, and I shielded my eyes, trying to regain my senses. When I looked again, he was still there, watching me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. Panic surged through me, but I felt immobilized, unable to confront or flee from this unsettling presence. As the train hurtled through the darkness, I wrestled with my thoughts. Was this real? Was I hallucinating from exhaustion and fear? The stench that had plagued me earlier returned, mingling with the oppressive atmosphere inside the train. It was suffocating. I forced myself to think logically. If I could just reach my phone, maybe I could call for help. But the rustling behind me indicated he was closer now. I could hear his breathing, slow and deliberate. Finally, summoning every ounce of courage left in me, I turned to face him, determined to confront whatever awaited. But as I looked into his eyes, I saw only darkness, an abyss that seemed to swallow all reason and hope. The train rattled on, the minutes stretching into eternity. I was trapped in a nightmare, unsure if I would wake up or if this was my new reality. My mind raced with scenarios of escape, of survival, but every plan dissolved in the face of this unknown terror. Then, without warning, the train jolted to a stop. The suddenness of it threw me forward, and I stumbled out of my seat, almost colliding with the man. In that moment of chaos, I found a surge of adrenaline propelling me toward the door. I didn't look back. I couldn't afford to. The doors creaked open, and I sprinted out onto the platform, gasping for breath. The cold air hit me like a slap in the face, but it was a relief compared to the stifling darkness of the train. I glanced around, expecting to see the man behind me, but the platform was deserted. With shaky hands, I reached into my pocket for my phone, finally remembering to check the time. It was well past 2 a.m., much later than I had anticipated. The realization sank in. I had spent hours trapped in that subway, fighting against an unknown threat. As I stood there trying to steady my breathing, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had narrowly escaped something sinister. The events of the night replayed in my mind, each detail more surreal than the last. I stumbled away from the platform, my legs carrying me on autopilot toward the nearest exit. I needed to get home, to safety, away from the horrors that lurked in the shadows of that subway. The night air was cold and unforgiving, but I welcomed it. It grounded me in reality, away from the surreal nightmare I had just experienced. With each step, I felt a sense of relief wash over me, knowing I was leaving that darkness behind. But as I walked, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I glanced over my shoulder, half expecting to see the man from the train following me. But there was nothing, just the empty streets and the distant hum of the city. I quickened my pace, desperate to reach the safety of home. The events of the night would haunt me for days to come, a reminder of how fragile our sense of security truly is in this chaotic world. As I finally arrived home, I collapsed onto my bed, physically and emotionally drained. Sleep eluded me, my mind replaying the chilling encounter over and over again. In the days that followed, I tried to convince myself it was just a hallucination, a trick of my exhausted mind. But deep down, I knew the truth. I had encountered something inexplicable that night. something that defied all rational explanation. And as I lay there, staring at the ceiling in the darkness, I couldn't help but wonder if I would ever truly escape the lingering fear that had taken root in my soul. I stumbled into my apartment, breathless and shaking. The events of the subway still echoed in my mind, each detail etched with horror. I collapsed onto my couch, my heart racing and my thoughts spinning. What had just happened felt like a nightmare from which I couldn't wake. As I dialed Adrian's number, my hands trembled. He picked up after a few rings, his voice filled with concern as he asked me what was wrong. I struggled to find the right words, trying to convey the sheer terror of what I had experienced without sounding completely insane. "Adrian, you won't believe what happened to me tonight," I started, my voice quivering. I recounted the surreal encounter in the subway, the 3 menacing men who seemed to delight in terrorizing me, and the chilling realization that one of them had appeared in a photo with my friends. Adrian listened intently, his silence on the other end speaking volumes. When I finished, there was a long pause before he finally spoke. "Are you sure it wasn't just a group of crazy people? Maybe they were just messing with you." I sighed, frustration bubbling up inside me. "Adrian, you didn't see their eyes, their voices. It was like they were toying with me, enjoying every moment of my fear. And that photo, how could he be there with you guys?" Adrian sighed heavily. "Look, I believe you're scared, and I trust you, but this sounds, I don't know, impossible. Maybe you should talk to someone, get some rest." His words stung. I had hoped Adrian would understand, would offer some reassurance. Instead, I felt more alone than ever. "I'm not making this up, Adrian. These guys, they're dangerous. I don't know what they want or why they're after me, but I can't just ignore this." There was a long silence on the other end. Finally, Adrian spoke, his voice softer. "Okay, listen. I'll look into this, all right? Just try to calm down. Maybe stay with us for a while, until things settle." Relief washed over me. Adrian was offering to help in his own way. "Thank you," I managed, my voice choked with emotion. I need some time to process everything, and maybe figure out what the hell those guys were." We talked a bit longer, Adrian trying to lighten the mood with some jokes, but the weight of what I had experienced lingered. After we hung up, I sat in silence, replaying the events in my mind, trying to make sense of it all. The sound of a notification brought me back to reality. It was a message from my girlfriend, asking if everything was all right. I hesitated before replying, unsure of how much to tell her. In the end, I opted for a vague response, assuring her I was safe, but needed some time alone. As I lay in bed that night, sleep eluded me. Every creak of the apartment, every flicker of light through the curtains, sent a shiver down my spine. The image of those men haunted my thoughts, their voices echoing in my mind like a sinister chorus. Morning brought little relief. I scrolled through the news on my phone, half expecting to see a report about a subway incident, but there was nothing. It was as if the night's events had never happened, except they had. They were burned into my memory like a scar. Days turned into weeks, and life seemed to return to normal on the surface. I resumed work, spent time with friends, and tried to push the ordeal to the back of my mind. But every time I heard a loud noise or caught a glimpse of someone in a beanie or a flannel shirt, my heart skipped a beat. I never saw those men again, and part of me hoped I never would. But their presence lingered like a shadow, a reminder that danger could lurk in the most unexpected places. Months passed, and I slowly began to heal from the trauma. Therapy helped me process the fear and paranoia that had gripped me in the aftermath. Adrian and my girlfriend stood by me, offering support and understanding even when they couldn't fully grasp what I had been through. The photo with the man in the ponytail haunted me less with time, but it served as a chilling reminder that those who had tormented me were real, not figments of my imagination. Now, as I recount this story, I do so not just to warn others, but to remind myself that I survived. I don't know who those men were or why they targeted me, but I've learned to trust my instincts and to be vigilant. Life goes on, but I carry with me the knowledge that sometimes reality can be stranger and more terrifying than any nightmare. And as I move forward, I do so with caution, knowing that the echoes of that night will always be a part of me. Thank you all for watching Midnight Horror. Please leave your comments below and hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe to catch our next spooky adventure. We truly appreciate your support. See you in the next one.